Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and I just wanted to make a little follow-up to a little video regarding a situation known as the BwE saga. For anybody that didn't know, this is the perfect example of a Streisand Effect. You know, when you try to delete everything and silence every single person out there, generally people pick up on it and kind of report on it for the important, aspect of everyone around you, okay? Now, generally, when you come across somebody that doesn't want a piece of information on the internet, especially on YouTube, there's a couple things you can do, I guess. You can issue a community guideline strike, or not a community guideline. You can issue a copyright strike, which if you do that, you're going to have to go to court, okay? And I'm not against the idea of challenging somebody in the field of DMCA. If you feel you've been wronged and the guy's been on you, you can sue them for crying out loud. And I'm not even against that, okay? People have threatened me. I don't care. If people want to sue each other, absolutely bring it on, okay? If you feel like you got a case, who am I to tell you you don't, okay? Come on now, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about. Or the third step is a privacy complaint. Now, this is something that I received shortly after I made that BwE video. And to be fair, I actually wasn't even really surprised that I got it. To be honest with you, if this goes through, I would be probably 30% shocked, to be real with you, okay? But to give you an idea, what happened over here was at 11:23 a.m., all right, just around noon, okay, I'm taking a poo. Hi, some ordinary gamers. We'd like to inform you that we received a privacy concern about your content. Before we review the content, we'd like to give you an opportunity to review and, if necessary, modify or remove any potentially private information within the reported content. Okay, so immediately right here, I will say something that is so banger for YouTube to do. Generally speaking, if somebody hits you with that copyright strike, boy, your video gets sent to the shadow realm and you're kind of just wasting your time trying to argue it, okay? Especially because it's a goddamn legal notice. But here, YouTube says receiving this notice does not imply a violation of the guidelines. So, all right, they're really going to take some time before they review it. They're going to give you the chance. So immediately they listed the reported content. So this is a URL link. And obviously that URL link was to the video. The BwE situation is insane indeed. Now, I really personally do think the BwE situation is insane. It might actually be insaner than I thought, but, I'll let you decide if you want to check that video out for yourself. But they gave a time code, okay? Now, it's interesting that in Lewis's video, he got like 00, apparently, from what he said, all the way to his full time code, okay? But here, it's interesting that whoever filled this actually did do it somewhat properly. They gave an intro time code of 7 minutes and 32 seconds to 26 minutes and 3 seconds. Now, if you go to my video, 7 minutes and 32 seconds has you with this WhatsApp text group, and 26:03 is literally the end of the video. So anywhere from this fucking point all the way to the end is an entire privacy violation. Now you can see the annoying part about it from a YouTuber perspective. Like, okay, so you've been alleged that this whole chunk, all right, of time, nearly an entire fucking episode of Seinfeld, is a privacy violating busting machine. So now you have to fucking analyze what is actually privacy violating, right? Now, if this video gets taken down, it's because I assume something has been tripped up on YouTube's end. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, this is a set of actual things you can do. You can fill these things out yourself. But generally speaking, they have a process. You go to this one page, you go through this entire process, and you basically tell YouTube, hey, I've got my information out there. And of course, according to YouTube, what they could be saying is if someone shares your information without your permission, this might include your contact information. So things like your home address, email address, or phone number. So when YouTube says might, there's a reasonable understanding. Let's say that you're, Elon Musk, okay? And somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to talk about Elon Musk. And Elon files an entire privacy strike on you. And he's like, he's giving my full name out there. Well, there's no real expectation of privacy. You're a public figure. The name's been out there for quite a long time. But when you go to things like home addresses, for instance, YouTube is obviously, and I don't even disagree with them, they're probably going to be a little bit heavy-handed here, just because there's really no good reason for you to be handing out somebody's home address, especially on a video that is critical of them, just because there's no reason to have it. You might notice that anytime I read court documents or something, I even blur out the addresses, phone numbers, hell, even the entire, well, usually the last names of any of the attorneys involved, their business address, their phone numbers, because again, there's no reason for you to have that. Even though that information is publicly available by looking up a case or docket number, it doesn't make sense to signal boost certain aspects because ultimately you don't really need to be doing it. And all the information that I actually looked at in this BwE video was all publicly provided based on public news reports, publicly available court documents. So none of this stuff was really private information, to be honest with you. I very much carefully looked through and I could not find a single instance of me handing out the guy's address. Okay, now unless just the city you live in is enough, which a lot of you commenters gladly reminded me that it's not Brisbane, it's Brisbane, okay? So I learned something. I learned how to pronounce a major Australian city at least. Now again, if a city is enough to violate privacy, then boy oh boy, I think most channels on the internet probably are about to get fucking goatseed if they get a privacy complaint. But immediately when I'm looking at the start of this complaint, it comes with an actual text, thread, this WhatsApp message. Now, to be honest with you, a WhatsApp message is not giving out your number. Nothing here is giving out personally identifiable information. If you somehow think that your correspondence with somebody is protected under some terms of service, that terms of service was not signed by me or anybody else that covered this situation. Okay, these were provided, these were provided for journalistic purposes, if anything, right? They were handed out to people. It's kind of like if you give your text messages to, like, I don't know, The Guardian, Vice, any journalist organization or person that talks about things on the internet, in any broad category, there's really no goddamn expectation of privacy. It's hilarious to me that this still happens to this day and age, and it's worth talking about because, again, these privacy complaints are kind of used as a way to almost intimidate a YouTuber that's, like, maybe new into the game. They don't understand, like, what they're actually doing. They don't understand that, or maybe, it is something that's scary, right? When you get an email from YouTube that comes across talking about strikes or complaints, it's going to scare somebody that doesn't have experience in the game. Now, if YouTube does end up somehow removing this exact video, I would be a little bit shocked, but maybe something might trip the actual AI bot that may look into it, or the human being might consider it to be a privacy guideline busting thing, but I don't think that's going to happen. Everybody that's talked about the situation has pretty much walked away unscathed, so if I'm not the person that walks away unscathed, then I'll definitely let you know about it. But I think it's hilarious that this is a thing, and still to this day, if YouTube does take that video down, I would be very shocked as well, just because, like, there are so many other issues that I think YouTube could rather tackle. For instance, the botting problem on YouTube is actually at an all-time insane high. I don't know if you've been watching, you probably have noticed in, like, the first 10 minutes of a video, there are literally an insane amount of bots. For instance, just literally on a video where I was talking about the Steam hack from, like, yesterday, there was one bot going, "I find your videos very interesting and useful. Thank you for such quality content." They've got a gorilla, they've got a blue cap, and they've got grapes. And literally all the profile pictures here are literally, like, I want to say it's borderline softcore pornography, okay? I feel like if I uploaded any of these photos unsolicited onto my actual YouTube channel, I'd get a sex and nudity guideline strike, but they can just have profile pictures? The names themselves are literally just an entire group of bots who probably have made, like, brand accounts or some crazy bot farm on YouTube that's just going buck wild. I love this one. Immediately uploaded 5 minutes after the video I made. "Thank you so much for your creative ideas. Your videos are always such a pleasure. Broccoli, horse, text bubbles." Bro, I don't even know what the f that's about, okay? God damn. They're not even getting ChatGPT to write these things. I love this one. "Your videos are always a joy to watch." Oh yeah? M10? Really? Thank you for the good work. "Chicken drum, plane flying into fries?" What? What are we doing? And of course, I love this one too. It's like the other one. "I watch your channel with pleasure. Your videos are a great way to relax and get positive emotions." Are you for real though? You really think some fat Indian guy screaming into the mic lets you relax? What's your problem? Now, even with the most intensive, like, most extreme filter on YouTube's auto moderation, these people still unfortunately get through. And it's just actually kind of annoying, right? Like, one of the most important things for a content creator is, like, you probably want to engage with your audience and just read the comments. But usually when, like, the first 200 comments on, like, when the top comments on your video when it's starting out are just that, it's probably one of the most, like, deflating things that day. But of course, you know, I really wish like this got sorted out, but it's kind of a tangential issue in relation to this overarching BwE thing. Now, when BwE issues or whoever is behind this privacy guideline strike, assuming that it is BwE, right? Because generally to issue a privacy complaint, you should be somebody that is mentioned in this video. Now, there's a couple names that are mentioned in here. It's not just BwE. There are 2 other individuals that were related inside the who is information for the person's website. So it could be a list of people, but generally speaking, when you actually issue these kind of, privacy strikes or privacy complaints, it's kind of reasonable, at least in this situation, to think that whoever is managing the BwE account or the YouTube channel or the GitHub or stuff that used to exist is most likely filling these things out, or at least somebody who is filling these things out on behalf of whoever this BwE character is. Now, obviously, when looking at, even Lewis's video, and I talked about this too, and he even mentioned it, there is kind of a soft admission that when you get to a point where you talk about this, Brisbane court situation where a man was arrested for internet offenses towards minors, if you're going to include this into your privacy guideline, strike or complaint, you're kind of, in some turnabout way, at least it's reasonable to understand that you're tacitly admitting to being whoever this person is. And this individual turns out to be this Luan Tahiraj fellow, at least mentioned in this actual article. Now, again, if this is true, and again, I leave an era of doubt because, there could be a chance that the BwE fella is not this person, right? And even, Lewis kind of admitted to it in his video, and he actually gave a really good answer for it, right? Like, basically used the guy's own words against him in the situation. If this person is not who, Lewis kind of talked about towards the end of this video, and I also reported on through Lewis's video, then you can basically use BwE's own words against him. Now, in one of these messages, right, that BwE had sent out allegedly through his business number, he had asked one of the, people purchasing, his software for a ID, specifically in regards to a refund. So basically this guy asks, hey, just send photo ID that matches your purchase. Now, I don't think you should ever fucking send your photo ID to anybody unless you absolutely need to, okay? In fact, it's not just me saying it. I'm pretty sure most governments around the world will tell you, don't give your SIN number, don't give your SSNs, don't give your driver's license, don't give any important document to some random person, even if it's in the context of a refund. All you needed to do was provide like your proof of purchase, an email address, maybe the credit card that you used to purchase that actual refund with. Never in a million years when I was refunding anything online or offline did I ever have to, I guess, provide identification in that manner. Usually they would just ask me, hey, can you give me the same card you used to purchase this product with? You'd give them the same goddamn card and they would issue a refund. But this guy's like, yeah, so when you're driving and a cop pulls you over, you show him this? Bro, not even the same situation. If a cop pulls me over, I'm complying, all right? I don't want to get my ass beat over a traffic kerfuffle. It's a business credit card in my dad's name. I'm not asking him for a copy of his ID. So you don't exist, and he doesn't exist. What a normal, logical individual. What a sane fucking guy. And of course, obviously, throughout this entire video that Lewis had made, and I covered through it, and, amongst other articles, even on like Wololo, it was, again, reasonably kind of deduced, at least in this, in Lewis's manner, that maybe this guy changed his name to that Luan fella. And of course, one of the things that got brought up in the quest for Luan was this court document from Queensland, right? So R versus Tahiraj back in 2014. And of course, one of the things that really disgusts me in this entire situation is actually what I'm about to read. So in Lewis's video, he titled it BwE Learn from the Master. And that wasn't just like a cutesy little play on words. One of the things that I read here from the judge was really disgusting. So according in this lawsuit, the judge commenced his sentencing remarks by reciting details, and by the way, I apologize, this is going to be really it's going to be there. But I think for respect of the victim in this case in general, I think it's better to talk about this and just, censor it out completely. In respect to count 3, His Honor noted that the appellant made CP material available to the internet and wrote the message. So I am Raffles. I destroy lives. Who wants this video? I make a girl cry. I force her to do bad things. I force her to do bad things again to her body. I then make her write a greets to a mate of mine on her body. Epic win. On another side, he wrote, enjoy and learn from the master. So it's just really disgusting to actually kind of read through this. And again, this is just the entry into this. This whole court case is actually so disgusting that it reminds me of a video that I'm actually working on right now called the 764. I don't want to call them a cult, but they're an online group. I think cult is just such an overused word. But for anybody that doesn't know, the FBI recently opened up an inquiry into this online group known as 764. And there's been people talking about this for years. But 764 is a really nefarious organization where hundreds of individuals were sitting online on Discord and a lot of these online, services, right? I mean, when you looked at the Luan case just a minute ago, it happened on a website called vampirefreaks.com. This almost goth website where, again, even if you're looking at this one image, right, looking at the top cults, it's kind of hard to read, but, you're looking at things like gore whores, chubby chaser, hot sex. So, it's one of these online platforms where you can just create an account, put in your birthday, whatever, join in, and it's a chat room that obviously did contain children, contained adults, contained a mixture of everyone, right? And through this platform and plenty of other online platforms, to go back to 764, there would be these people that would find minors, become friends with them, and then they would coerce them effectively to create really explicit materials. And to the point, it also got where they even told them to harm themselves, and it kept getting worse. And the thing about it is some of these people recently got indicted. Some of these people recently got unmasked by federal agencies. But overall, it's kind of a showcase to show you just if you leave your children unfettered access onto the internet, they can get into contact with some of the most unhinged, wild people out there. And, to go into this situation, right, obviously, if BwE, which, when we were looking at the Louis Rossman video yesterday, he even came out and basically said, hey, look, I'm being defamed by this super big YouTuber. And, to go back to, his words, if he wanted to disprove himself, he could show his identification, as he has asked other people purchasing his product, allegedly, to also do. Which, again, I think is kind of a fair claim. If I was being, really accused of doing something very untoward towards minors like this, right? And it's one of the things I even said in the video. I'm like, you have to, it was one of those things where even I couldn't completely jump behind because, again, I have to have that complete connection. But, Lewis was like, hey, listen, if you're going to privacy strike me based on reading these, news reports of disgusting behavior, then that's kind of in some weird tacit turnabout way admitting to, who you actually are. And also you should just be able to prove who you are with some government ID on some actual bank statement or some, document that can actually prove you to not be the person in these news reports. But instead, everything gets deleted, privacy complaints get issued, and then the whole Streisand effect just keeps fucking building. So yeah, it is genuinely kind of wild to see this whole situation blow up in the way that it is. I've never seen an implosion this extreme, but if it's one thing that came out of this that is at least good, is that if this Luan Tahiraj fellow is exactly, this BwE character 100%, which again, it's easy to disprove and you can easily, destroy Louis Rossman or slap him across the face but if you're choosing not to, then I guess people can kind of almost assume the worst, right? Reasonably speaking. What's baffling to me is obviously looking into this person going into things like cybersecurity. It's like, bro, the last thing anybody should be involved in, especially when they have a history regarding allegedly this with minors, right? With computer intrusions, computer hacking, you probably shouldn't be making software that is alleged to also be spying on the users. I think that's all really, really important. And so I think for a lot of people that were repairing PlayStation 4s and PlayStation 5s with this person's software who feel like, oh my God, this person took the software away, what am I going to do? Well, thankfully, at least in this situation, another person by the name of The Coder on YouTube came out, produced a set of softwares entirely for free that you can download, you can play around with, you can use in replacement of the BwE software. And all this stuff is for free. Again, I haven't checked the software, neither have I checked the BwE software myself for any network privacy stuff. Not that I really can anymore because everything has been completely deleted off the internet. But yeah, this all exists. And one of the things that Lewis did was run a bounty for I think he put $5,000 up. And that money was going to get distributed to the coder and other people that were committing to these free, replacement softwares. And obviously, I want to put my money where my mouth is because I really do believe in the message of rights to repair. I really do believe that people should have the ability to repair their stuff. And I don't want to live in a world where people don't have the option anymore because of, the internet implosion that we saw. So I'm also putting up, $5,000 to match Lewis. I actually emailed him and his team about it. Super responsive people. Yeah, that's about the best thing that can kind of come out of this, right? Because ultimately, the people who wanted their consoles repaired don't have to deal with an egotistical individual. And ultimately speaking, it's like, if you're going to keep your ego, and I think what Lewis said in his video was really important too. It's like, if you're this Luan character and you fuck up your life so bad that you go to jail over, really heinous shit. And mind you, there's levels, I would say. Sometimes people get caught doing heinous shit, but then what you read in the case regarding this Luan character, that's like super extreme. Like it's like evil, like just pure evil that you're reading, right? The way that you interact with minors and the hacking that you're doing, and just it's like when the judge is saying no remorse. And remember, when a judge is saying that, that means a judge has to see cases like this. Yours stands out above and beyond somebody that has to read cases like this all the time. It's a mind-blowing mess. So when I see stuff like this, when this person messes up their life and then they come back and they gain some economic independence and they gain some actual flowers amongst the community for producing software that people really enjoy, why is it that your hubris and your ego gets the advantage of you and you start talking down to everyone and you start being the most insufferable person, only for, eventually people down the road digging up your past, which they will, especially when one of your adversaries is, determined to make an example out of you, and they're smart in what they do. What are you thinking? Like, what's going on? But yeah, this guy wants to take down a video, and I wanted to talk about it because there is a lot of a follow-up to have in this situation. And genuinely speaking, it's like, I've never seen an implosion genuinely this bad. And, that being said, like I said, if this person, if they can disprove themselves, then it's like the easiest own on somebody like Louis Rossman. But instead, it's like, delete everything, run away from the internet, and, basically take your ball and run away, which thankfully at this point, it didn't have to be that way. There have been free alternatives that have been created. And, the repair industry doesn't have to deal with an egotistical programmer any longer. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.